Hello and welcome to my walkthrough for the Forest of Fallen Giants. This video is intended to be a definitive 100% guide, so I'll show you every item location, every secret, and every boss. I chose to begin this guide from Majula because there are a couple of items to pick up along the way to the Forest of Fallen Giants. The first one is a rusted coin inside of this chest. After that you'll head down this long hallway and come to an open cave-like area. You can walk across this bridge, but it's faster just to drop down here, right next to this chest where we can get a human effigy. Then, instead of going all the way around, we can jump across this gap and pick up an item here. And then we can exit the cave here in the river. There's going to be one hollow sleeping on the right side, so take him out. The ogre nearby patrols a very small area, so usually he won't notice you. I will defeat him pretty soon, but first I would recommend you take out the two hollows that are on this path here. The first bonfire of the area is right in that little alcove, but before lighting it I'm just going to kill the ogre. This guy is completely skippable, but just in case you want to fight him, I'll show you how to. He does deal a lot of damage, but you can exploit his behavior by constantly going to his backside, which will cause him to do the sit down attack, which you could easily dodge, and then trigger repeatedly. There really isn't that much reason to fight this guy, except for the souls he gives, so I would honestly recommend you skip him. Okay, so now I'm lighting the first bonfire. If you just rested at the bonfire, then of course these hollows will be revived. So just take these two guys out again, because they can chase you and cause you a problem later on. Right here there's going to be an ambush of 5 hollows. We can see one standing right there. He's an archer. As soon as you move a little bit forward, he'll notice you and start trying to shoot you with arrows. There's another hollow right here beside these logs. Just be careful of the archer and take out this guy first. Next, as we cross to the other side, there's 2 hollows that are going to activate here. One is hiding behind these rocks, and the other will drop down from a ledge above him. After taking these guys out, there's only 2 left. The archer, and then one sleeping right behind them. So with those guys taken care of, we eliminated all the nearby enemies, but there is one item here, so don't overlook that. And now we can progress in the area by climbing the ladder here. In this big open area, there are 13 sleeping hollows on the ground, and each one will activate individually as you get close enough to them. So the first thing I do here is pick up one of the items right here on the right side, and then just take out this enemy. Now heading through this little doorway, we can see an item in the distance, but the first thing I'm going to do is climb on this ladder a little bit, which will trigger this enemy. Now we can climb up the ladder safely. If we hug the right side, we can climb even further up and pick up this item. And now coming over here, we can take out this enemy, which would throw firebombs at us if we didn't take him out. Now there's one more item pickup at the end here before we go back down. Dropping off here will deal a lot of fall damage to us, so the safest way is just to come back the way we came, and while we're here, we can make this jump to pick up an item. Okay, so now to return to where we were, we have to climb the ladder again. And now there are 12 enemies left in this open area. What I did was just circle the tree counterclockwise and take out one guy at a time. This should be pretty easy if you take it pretty slow. As we're taking these guys out, we can pick up nearby items. This one here is a life gem. Then the next one is a human effigy. And from this enemy onward, I showed how you can pretty easily backstab these guys as they're waking up, so that is going to be the safest way to take them out. Okay, and with that, all the enemies are eliminated, and we can pick up the last item here, a broken straight sword, and then head through the fog to progress in the area. So there's a one-way path here if you climb this ramp that's right in front of us to go into the next room, but that's the more dangerous path, so I wouldn't go that way. Right here, a hidden enemy is going to do a jump attack towards you as soon as you get close enough, so bait him out and then kill him. Similarly, right here, 2 enemies are scripted to notice you as soon as you go in front of this doorway, so trigger them and then take them out. So before heading into this room here, we're going to trigger 2 more enemies. What I like to do here is run into these boxes, which push them forward. And then once you get far enough, you'll trigger the 2 enemies at the same time. Pushing the boxes buys you a lot of time because the enemies will try to break them. So you can back up and then get ready to fight them. Now heading into this room, there is one more enemy, but he's just sleeping right there so we can backstab him as he wakes up. And now there's one item to collect here, which is hidden behind this furniture. And that's it for this room, so we're going to move on. Right here we can pick up this life gem. We'll actually be returning to this hole in the wall later, but for now we're going to head forward. Here we'll have to deal with 3 different enemies. An archer is at the top of this staircase, a hollow soldier with firebombs is standing on the root above us, and there's a melee hollow that will attack us once we climb the stairs. So just be careful here and retreat down the staircase if you need to. There's another archer all the way in the distance, so just be aware of him and you should be able to dodge his arrows. All the way in the back here is a shield, the buckler. And now we're very close to the next bonfire, so climb up this ladder. And there's just one more enemy to take out. You can trigger him by walking right nearby here, and he'll turn around this corner. We can pick up 5 witching urns, which is a consumable that you throw. It's like a magic firebomb. Anyway, opening the door here, we can find the Cardinal Tower bonfire, which is pretty much the central bonfire of the whole area. Right next to the bonfire is a merchant, Malentia. We'll talk to her later. For now, head up the stairs and you'll come to a locked door. We will get the key for this door later, but this is actually one of the doors in the game that you can break down, so hit it a few times to enter this room early. The crystal lizards can be pretty hard to hit since they're so low to the ground, so if you're having trouble with this, come back later when you have a more appropriate weapon, or you could try attacking him with spells or something like that. In this case, I couldn't easily hit him with a dagger, so I switched to using the mace that could be found in Majula. Anyway, this room is pretty dark, so if you want to, light a torch at the bonfire and then come back here, which just makes picking up the items here a little bit easier. One is below this wagon. Another is below this table. And finally, there's a chest over here. Exit the room through this door, and on your left will be a sleeping enemy. And on your right will be a metal chest that contains the small white sign soapstone. A little bit later on in the area, we'll be able to obtain the regular white sign soapstone as well. There's one last item here on this branch, so drop down, pick it up, and then drop down again to return to the bonfire. Now we're going to head back outside. Keep in mind the hidden soldier on the right will trigger again when you walk back out here. After you deal with him, drop down onto this wooden walkway. Drop down again and take out the 2 hollows. There is a ladder here, but we're actually going to use that to climb back up. So for now, head this way past the hole in the wall and jump across this gap to get a human effigy. Continue making your way downward until you reach this tree. You can walk on this, so pick up the item here, and then jump off from this branch so you can get the prism stones on this ledge. Okay, so now, similar to what we did in the open area with the tree, we don't really want to fight all the enemies at once, so just try to fight one enemy at a time here without triggering too many. I triggered 3 at once here, but these guys shouldn't be too much of a problem. There are some more hollows here, and then there's a new enemy, a knight that's in kind of turtle armor. They're pretty difficult, but I'll show you how to take them out as well. So there is one right in front of us, but first I would take out this guy right here. This enemy is kind of similar to the ogre in that if you go behind him, that'll usually trigger him to do this falling back attack. So just be aware of that and try not to get hit by that. To take this guy out, honestly what I would do, just hit him once, dodge, then hit him again, and dodge, and just continue like that. Especially if you have a very low damage weapon like I do. So now we can pass where he was standing, and he was just guarding one item here in this cave. Now there's another turtle enemy to take out. There is a hollow behind them, so try not to trigger both of them at once. After taking them out, head into this other cave right here, where there are flames on the ground. There's a stationary enemy. He's a fire salamander. He'll shoot 3 fireballs at you. Just time this correctly and you should be able to open this door. You can open it and get into this room without taking damage, but I was just a little bit slow, so I did get hit here. You could take him out by shooting him with arrows there, but we will actually go all the way around and be able to attack him later in the level from his backside, so I won't kill him for now. And now we can exit using that ladder we saw before, but before doing that, there's just one last item over here, 3 life gems. Honestly, what you can do here is, if you have one, you can use a homeward bone to get back to the bonfire. If you don't want to do that, and you want to walk back, you'll have to go back to where you were earlier through this hole in the wall. And if you rested at the bonfire, then of course all the enemies will be back here. So it's kind of a dangerous path, but it's perfectly doable. At this point, I had a pretty good amount of souls, so I'll show you what Melentia has for sale, because she has some really important items that I highly recommend you buy. The first one is this key. I'll show you exactly where that goes in a moment. The second item is the Faris Lockstone, which we'll be able to use a little bit later in this area. And the last one is the Fragrant Branch of Yore, which is the key item used to unpetrify the stone statues that block your way at various points in the game. It's pretty expensive, so you probably can't afford it at this point, and there are a few more things I want to tell you about this NPC, so we'll return to her later on once we have more souls. Anyway, the key we just bought goes to this building in Majula. Opening this unlocks the blacksmith's shop, where you can buy some more stuff, repair any broken items, or reinforce your equipment. Okay, now heading back to the Forest of Fallen Giants. The next thing we're going to do here is go down this ladder. And down here on your right is a sleeping enemy. Honestly, I would just take him out before he has a chance to wake up. And then on the other side there's going to be a patrolling hollow with a halberd. By the way, if you look down from this ledge, you can see more fire salamanders like the one we encountered earlier. This pit is meant to be tackled much later in the game, but at the end of this video I'll show you how to get down there early, defeat the salamanders, and of course get all the items. Crossing this walkway, we can find an enemy sleeping here. He can also be hard to hit depending on what weapon you have, but if you do a jumping attack, that should work. There's just one item we can get here for now, Soul of the Lost Undead. And then this door here is locked and we cannot break this one open. So we'll come back here later once we have the key. Heading into the next room, there's another locked door right there. And another sleeping hollow that you could easily miss, so take him out before he ambushes you. Now after heading through the mist, we're going to climb up this route and then fall down right here to go through another optional section. There's one hollow on this platform, but there's also an archer in the distance, so just be aware of that. The item here is a torch. After getting that, you need to drop down off this ledge, which will cause you to take a little bit of fall damage. This enemy on the left starts by shooting you with arrows, but if you go close enough to him, he'll switch out to a dagger and approach you, so just wait for him to do that and then take him out safely. As you can see, there are a few more archers in this upper area. You'll have to dodge their arrows as you fight this melee enemy. Honestly, you probably will get hit a couple times here, but just try to keep moving so that most of the arrows will miss you. And just be aware that if an arrow hits you in the head, it will instantly stagger you. This enemy will usually fall down to the level below, but you have to head down there anyway, so take him out along with the enemy that was already waiting down here. There are no items to collect in here, but there is one at the end of this path on the left. You can also see another item on the other side of this grate, and we'll be getting that much later in the level. Going this way, we can climb back up, and this time jump across from the roof to these other rafters. Just be aware that the archers will still be shooting you. As we head into this cave, we're going to trigger a boulder that will hit a hollow enemy and cause him to die. The boulder just heads towards a dead end, so there's no reason to go that way. But there is an item right here, so we're going to get that. And then heading up this way, we can see that there's an NPC right there. He's a nice guy. But before talking to him, we're just going to take out that archer that we saw a little bit earlier and pick up the item that he was guarding. Now we can talk to this guy without having any problems. This is Kale. He will give you the key to one of the buildings in Majula, so keep talking to him, get that from him, and then you can actually meet him later in that building once you return to Majula. So now that we pretty much finished this side area, this is another opportunity to just use a homeward bone. If you don't want to do that, then climb up this ladder and take out this last enemy, and then we could just walk back all the way to where we first climbed this route. Now climb the route all the way to the top and you'll come to this path with these fire barrels. If you want to, you could limit your risk here by rolling into these barrels to destroy them. Otherwise, you can bait the turtle enemy into hitting them, which will cause them to blow up and deal some damage to him. Either way, once he's defeated, head forward and take out this archer to the left. Before continuing down this path, we're going to climb this ladder. Climbing up here will cause the pursuer to spawn. This guy is a boss that you'll fight much later in the level, but you have one opportunity here to kill him early. There is no unique reward for doing this, it's just a unique encounter. If you don't want to fight him, then just drop back down, and that will cause him to despawn. Once you climb back up and the pursuer is gone, the 3 sleeping enemies will wake up and all attack you at once. After dealing with them, there are 4 items to pick up here. This hollow that's standing on top here likes to throw firebombs, and you can use him to unlock a shortcut back to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. It is easier to throw the firebomb yourself, and I do have one in my inventory, so I just killed him and then blew up these barrels myself. Once you walk over here, this shield enemy will notice you. The easiest way to defeat this type of enemy is to break his guard and then riposte him. There's another enemy around this corner, so take him out as well. Now drop down here, and before heading forward, pick up this item on the side of the staircase. Over here in the distance we can see some more fire barrels. Walking in front of this doorway will cause the hollows inside to shoot ballistas at you. These ballista arrows will blow up the fire barrels if they hit them, so trigger that and then just be aware that all the hollows will rush you at once. After you head inside, there will be 2 items to pick up. Now in my case, the arrows that the hollows shot did blow up the fire barrels, but that doesn't always happen. If that's the case for you, then you can man the ballista yourself and shoot it until the barrels explode. Blowing these barrels up will make that section safer for you and also kill 2 enemies in the process. Once you're ready, climb down the ladder here, and we can find a chest. This one is trapped, so you'll randomly either get a crossbow trap or a poison trap. I got the crossbow variant in this case, but if you just roll away diagonally like this, you'll be safe no matter which one you get. Over here in this corner, you can find a Pharos contraption. Put the Pharos stone we got into it, and that will reveal an illusory wall, which leads to a hidden room. There are 2 chests in here. One contains a titanite slab, and the other contains the Chloranthi ring. Now there's just one more room down here. You can't actually open this door yourself, but if you hit it, you will trigger the enemies on the other side and they'll open it in order to get to you. Once you're done with them, you can get the items in this dark room. You can light a torch and then come back here if you want to, but there's only one chest in here, so I didn't see the need to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to head to the right side. We can find an NPC here, Pate. If you talk to him, he'll warn you about a trap that's up ahead. We're going to walk into this little courtyard to trigger the trap. And basically, the door will just close behind you, and you'll have to fight these 5 enemies, which will all come at you at once. This might be pretty difficult, so keep running around and try to pick off one enemy at a time. There are no items to collect here, so now we're just going to go down this hall. Over here is 3 aromatic ooze. That is basically an item you can use to coat your weapon with magic for a short period of time. Anyway though, right here is an illusory wall that we can activate by clicking the interaction key while facing the wall. Coming back over here, we basically finished this section, so we're going to drop back down to where Pate is. But you will take a little bit of fall damage here, so just be aware of that if you're low on health. Now that we finished the trap, if we talk to him, he'll give us the white sign soapstone, which I mentioned earlier. Now with all that done, we can head over here where we blew up the barrels with the ballista arrow. Up there are some enemies throwing firebombs. We can ignore them for now. Heading to the right, there's one sleeping enemy, so don't ignore him. And then over here, attacking this dead giant, there are 2 hollows. Behind the dead giant is an item, so don't miss that. Now climb up this ladder and that'll lead you to where the enemies were throwing firebombs from. All the way at the end of this hall is a lit sconce. And you can see here that there's a shadow, but there's seemingly no enemy there. That is a hidden enemy called a invisible hollow, and they're hidden all throughout the game. Killing him will cause him to drop an item. In this case, a smooth and silky stone. Now jump across this gap and we can pick up this item. Below us are 3 hollows, and this is where the guys were just throwing firebombs at us from. This is a pretty small room to fight 3 guys in, so If you want to, drop down here and they'll chase you, and you should be able to more easily take them out. If you did drop down, then you'll have to walk all the way back in order to open up the chest that they were guarding. With that done, we can drop down once again and head to the left this time into this long room. First head up the stairs on the right because there's an item up there. Right below this is another one of those locked doors, and we will be getting the key for these rooms pretty soon. For now, head this way and defeat these 2 shield enemies. These guys can be kind of annoying to fight, so be careful and deal with them one at a time. You can see that there is an item all the way at the end of this room, but be aware that there's also a hidden Turtle Knight enemy right next to it. The last item in this room is at the end of this huge stone sword. This part can be a little bit tricky because an ambush of 4 hollows will drop down from a hidden ledge and follow you up the ramp. My advice here is not to roll at all because you can very easily fall off the edge, so tank some damage if you have to, or block with your shield. And now this room is complete and we can progress by heading through the mist. First go to the right and enter this room that has 1 enemy and 1 item to collect. Then go down this path where you can pick up some fire arrows and open this door. This is actually a shortcut that leads back to the ladder that'll take you back to the bonfire. If you want to rest at the bonfire at this point, feel free. But even if you don't, I still recommend you take out the 2 soldiers on this path. Coming back through the door we just unlocked, you'll see that there's an elevator here. There's a turtle enemy standing on the left side of the elevator, so send the right side down in order to bring him up to you. After taking him out, ride down the elevator. On this side we can see a nice view of the Salamander Pit that I spoke about earlier. Right here is one last enemy before the boss. The door he was standing in front of leads to the Salamander Pit, but as I said, I'll explain all that in detail at the end of the video. In front of this boss are 2 summons. One of them is the NPC we met earlier, Pate. Summoning him here and keeping him alive will cause him to give you his equipment when you meet him again at a later location, but this is not necessary to progress his questline. The other summon is basically just a distraction for the boss. This boss is the last giant. He shouldn't be too difficult for you if you stay between his legs or behind his legs and just keep hitting him from there. If you want to use them, the witching urns we picked up earlier deal a lot of damage to him, so you have that option as well. Anyway, after you defeat him, you'll of course get his soul, but you'll also get the soldier key, which unlocks all those similar looking doors we've seen throughout the level. But before we put that key to use, I'm going to first visit Melentia, because I can now afford the friggin' branch. If you talk to her after spending at least 12,000 souls in her shop, she will give you the coveted silver serpent ring +1. Which increases the amount of souls dropped by both enemies and bosses, so it's a very good thing to have. Also, since we defeated the last giant, she will now move to Majula, where she'll remain for the rest of the game. Once she's there, she sells an infinite amount of life gems and a lot of other useful items. Alright, now let's head to those locked doors. The first one I'm going to is the one across this bridge. After unlocking it, run all the way down here to this chest to get the Ring of Restoration, which will slowly restore your HP over time if you equip it. Now making a right, you'll come to the small outdoors area. There's just one enemy here, a Cyan Knight, who is guarding a huge door. This door can only be unlocked at the very end of the game, so I'm not including that in this video. Anyway, this Cyan Knight is pretty strong, but he's also pretty easy to backstab or parry. And by the way, this guy does not respawn, so you won't ever have to fight him again when you return here. Once you defeat him, collect the amber herbs from this chest and the grand lance that's on the left side. Now we're going to head to this nearby room to unlock another one of those doors. Once again, there is a sleeping hollow in this room, so be careful not to forget about him. The next area is going to be really dark, so I do recommend you take a torch and light this sconce, so you can relight your torch here if you have to put it away or if you die. Near the entrance on the right side is a summon. This guy is pretty cool, and he will cast a spell that lights up a large area around him, so he can be pretty helpful, but I'll show you how to get through here without his help. As you approach this first sconce, 2 skeletons will notice you. And there's a third one very close by that will notice you as well when you take a few more steps forward. Before continuing further into this room, make sure you pick up this item that's off to the side. Near this last sconce is another group of 3 skeletons. These guys aren't that hard to defeat, so fighting them all at once shouldn't be a problem. Just pick up this last item and you'll be done with this dark hallway, so you can put out the torch and head outside through this door. There's another building you can enter right in front of you, but before heading in there, I recommend you go this way to the left. Be aware of the archer that's across this ravine though. There will be a hollow and a turtle knight waiting for you right here, so take them out. After that, collect this item, which is the one we saw a while ago from the other side of this grate. Now that we got all that done, we're going to turn around and go into the building that we passed by before. Don't forget to keep dodging the archer's arrows though. First go into the room on the left. Around the bend will be an ambush of 2 hollows. After dealing with them, pick up the human effigy that's here, and then go back to climb up the ladder. There will be 3 turtle knights up here. As we saw earlier in the video, these guys can blow up the fire barrels by hitting them, so you can use that to your advantage if you wish. If you're having trouble with these guys, you can retreat by dropping down off the roof, but just keep in mind that they will follow you down. Anyway though, after you take them out, you can pick up any items they may have dropped, and then there are 4 bodies with items. Once we get those, we're done with this building so we can drop off, and now head through this one, which has plenty of cracks in its walls. Many of these walls can be destroyed by the Turtle Knight's attacks, so that's kind of a cool mechanic. Anyway, coming over here we can now finally take out this archer, but coming here will trigger an NPC invasion from this guy called Armor Dennis, who you'll actually encounter a couple of times throughout the game. He is pretty powerful with his spells, so you've really got to be careful with this guy. Your best bet is probably trying to backstab him, and he does tend to hold up his shield, so if you feel confident enough to break his guard, then riposting him would be a good idea as well. After you defeat him, you'll be automatically given a human effigy, which happens every time you defeat an invader. And in this room we can pick up the seed of the Tree of Giants that's here. This is a pretty useful item that causes enemies to attack invaders when you use it. One has a chance of spawning here every time you get invaded, so you should return here periodically to pick these up throughout your playthrough. Anyway, make your way over here and open this chest, which contains an armor set and a soul. With that done, we completed this little area, so we can go into this little room, light the bonfire, and then travel all the way back to this long room, where we can unlock the last door that the soldier key opens. This path leads to the second boss of the area, the Pursuer. In this first room are two Royal Knights. One starts right in front of you, but another one will drop down from the staircase on your right. Through the doorway on the right side is an archer, so to be safe, let this knight come to you so that you can fight him one-on-one, and after killing him, go outside and take out the archer. Before heading through the fog gate, just make sure to go over here and get this item. Alright, for this boss I'll go over two different strategies you can use to kill him. If you want to fight him normally, then stay close to him while consistently circle strafing in a counterclockwise direction. If you do this, he won't be able to hit you with many of his attacks, and rolling away from them will be easier. If you want to kill him using one of the ballistas that are here, then you'll have to bait him into attacking, and then run to the ballista as fast as possible. Alternatively, you could stun him by parrying him. Either way, it'll only take 2 shots from the ballista to kill him, so this is a really quick and easy way to kill him if you can pull it off.
Like this, and it does a high amount of damage, which is pretty cool. Actually, you can't perfectly stun lock him. He does move a little bit. Let's see if we can kill him. Oh, we got him.
Anyway, when the fight is over, you'll automatically obtain his soul and the Ring of Blades, which increases your melee damage. There are no items to collect in this little area, but we can find 2 hollows attacking another dead giant. If you turn around and drop down over here, you can pick up an armor set along with a sword and a shield. After picking that up, you'll have to drop down here and run all the way back to where we just were. Once you do that, head up these stairs and then interact with this nest, which will trigger the Pursuer's bird to bring you to the next area, the Lost Bastille. So that is pretty much everything you can do during your first visit to the Forest of Fallen Giants. As I alluded to a few times throughout this video, it is possible to access the Salamander Pit early, so now I'll show you how to do that and collect all the items down there. First of all, the way you're meant to access the Salamander Pit is through this door, which is unlocked using a key from Iron Keep. I've already made a guide video for that area, so check that out if you want more information. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do is head to this ledge that's right next to the ladder that leads to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. From here there are 2 methods to enter the Salamander Pit. The first is to jump from this spot and then do a plunging attack. If you do it properly, you'll activate a special animation which prevents you from taking any fall damage. The second method is to simply go to the other end of this walkway, drop down onto this debris, and then drop down again. You'll take a good amount of fall damage from this, so you might have to either lower your equip load %, increase your max health, or wear some fall damage reducing equipment to survive this. I recommend you get down here by using the plunging attack method because it's much safer. Anyway, the first salamander is very easy to kill. He only has 1 attack, shooting a series of 3 fireballs, and if you stay to his side, lock on, and keep walking forward, his head or leg will push you as he tries to face you. Attack him while he's standing still, and he'll never be able to hit you. These guys can drop some items. In this case, he dropped a fireball spell for me, so that's kinda cool. Inside this metal chest is a ring that will increase your fire defense, so put that on and it might help you survive if you get hit by a fireball. Alright, now the second salamander is harder to kill because of his position. There isn't much room for you, so trying to stick to his side as he turns will often get you stuck on the terrain and then you'll get hit by his attack. Honestly, what I recommend you do here is run past him down this corridor and then shoot him with arrows until he dies. If you're standing far enough away, he won't attack you at all, and this will be very easy to do. When he finally goes down, Feel free to check if he dropped any item. For me, he did happen to drop a cracked red-eye orb. At the end of this corridor, you'll find the third fire salamander. This one is very tough to beat because he moves around a lot and has a lot of different melee attacks. By the way, there is no use to using a shield when fighting this guy, because many of his attacks ignore your shield, even if you're trying to block them. Another thing to keep in mind is that you should try to stay in this general vicinity, because there's another fire salamander that you can't see from here, all the way in the back of this room. So even if this guy you're fighting goes really far away, don't chase him. Just let him come back to you, otherwise you'll be fighting two salamanders at once, and that will not go well for you. Also, if this guy moves too far up the corridor, then he'll try to slowly waddle his way back to his starting position, and this could be a good opportunity for you to get some free hits in on him. Once you finish fighting him, there's just one last salamander. This one is actually the guy we saw much earlier in the video that was shooting fireballs at us while we were trying to open a door. Anyway though, this guy behaves pretty similar to the last one, so he might be difficult to kill, but in my case he just started going crazy and running into walls, so I was able to kill him very easily. All that's left to do now is pick up all the items. There are two in this lower area. This one right next to us is a great shield and the key that unlocks one of the DLC locations. And then the item over here is two cracked red-eye orbs. Once you climb back to the upper level, you'll see that the columns of flame are gone now, and there are just 3 more items to get here. One on this body, one in this corner against the wall, and the last one is right here next to this hole. Alright, and that's it. That was my guide to the Forest of Fallen Giants. If you enjoyed this video, then feel free to check out some of my other ones. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.